Rouzan Ashraf Abdul Qadir al-Najjar was a Palestinian nurse paramedic who was killed by the Israeli Defense Forces while volunteering as a medic during the 2018 Gaza border protests. She was fatally hit by a bullet shot by an Israeli soldier as she tried to help evacuate the wounded near Israel's border fence with Gaza. The IDF first denied that she was targeted, while not ruling out that she may have been hit by indirect fire. Israeli human rights group Selam said that al-Najjar was shot intentionally. The eldest of 6 children born to Ashraf al-Najjar, she was a resident of Kuza, a village near the border with Israel. The IDF released footage in which she purportedly admitted to participating in the protests as a human shield at the request of Hamas. The video was later found to be a clip from an interview with a Lebanese television station that had been edited by the IDF to take al-Najjar's comments out of context. In the unedited video, she didn't mention Hamas and called herself a rescuing human shield to protect and save the wounded at the front lines, with everything following human shield trimmed out of the Israeli clip.
It's The Real News, I'm Ben Norton. Tens of thousands of Palestinians in the Israeli-besieged Gaza Strip have held demonstrations on a regular basis since March 30th as part of what they call the Great March of Return, demanding the right of return Palestinian refugees are guaranteed under international law, as well as an end to Israel's illegal and crippling blockade of Gaza. Israel has responded with merciless violence, injuring more than 10,000 Palestinians, killing at least 120 people. Israeli snipers have intentionally shot journalists, medics, children, and other unarmed protesters. And the IDF boasted on Twitter, quote, "We know where every bullet landed." On June 1st, the Israeli government's brutality shocked the world after the IDF shot and killed the 21-year-old Palestinian medic Razan al-najjar. Rouzan had spent weeks treating protesters wounded by the Israeli military. She was clearly wearing a white medic's vest and had her hands up in the air, walking toward an injured person to treat them when an Israeli sniper shot Rouzan in the chest, killing her. Then, on June 4th, the Israeli military killed another member of the al-Najjar family, Ramzi, the cousin of Rouzan. Joining us today to discuss this horrific tragedy in Gaza is Rouzan's cousin, Dalia al-Najjar. Thanks so much for joining us, Dalia, and I'm sorry for the losses.
Thank you.
So can you just please talk about Rouzan? You know, she dedicated her life to try to help people and treat them when they were wounded. Can you just talk about your memories of her?
Yeah, well, Razan was a great daughter and a caring sister, a loving friend, and a professional nurse. She was a source of inspiration and positivity to many. She always tried her best to make everyone happy around her. An attack with her family yesterday, they told me that they didn't just lose a daughter, but they lost a best friend. She was really close to everyone of her family, and she really she tried her best to make them happy. For example, she sold personal belongings often to try to get new clothes to her siblings. For her, she really loved life. And this is why she got into nursing. Getting into nursing was a dream coming true for her. She wanted to take care of people, to make sure that they live healthy and they get a life, basically. So it was really hard for her to get a degree in nursing because of the hard financial situation of her family. So she dropped out of school, and then she got training. She trained and worked as a volunteer for 2 years in a Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis, and without getting paid anything. When the protest started, or the Great Return March started, she went there every week to try to help as much as possible. As you've seen in her interviews, she was brave, and she was one of the first female responders, and everyone challenged her at the beginning as a female medic, but she kept it together. She kept fighting, and she said that the society need to accept us as female, proving that women have a great role to do in the conflict and in the Middle East in general. She even sold personal belongings to buy some medical supplies for the wounded during the march, which is absolutely amazing. She showed not only how courageous she is, but how selfless she is and how caring for life she is. She wanted everyone to live, and even though she got indifferent and multiple injured, she kept working on very long shifts, and she would go home every day with a different injury, with her clothes, with a lot of blood in her clothes, and she was telling her mom, it's fine, I'm fine. People, I need to save someone else's daughter and someone else's son. So this is what was she trying to do.
Yeah, and we actually have a video clip here of an interview that Rouzan did just before she was killed, talking about some of the treatment she was doing for people who were wounded, Palestinians who were wounded in these protests. Here, we'll play this clip.
Today I was almost shot, but thanks to God's mercy, I was safe. And also yesterday I suffocated from tear gas, and I fainted for about an hour. I woke up in an ambulance and I left it. I went crazy because I wanted to continue my work and my journey. I came to give care, not get care. With all pride, I want to continue to the last day.
Yeah, I think that clip shows it's amazing how brave and how dedicated she was. It also shows a kind of determination. You know, Palestinians talk about sumud, the steadfastness to always resist oppression and fight for freedom and help people who are oppressed and people who are wounded. Can you just talk about how, you know, Rouzan's life reflected that and overall the Palestinian, you know, struggle for equal rights?
Well, Razan showed everyone what is it to want freedom, and this emerges from our desire to life and to live in dignity and to have our freedom and to live in a better future. And this is why everyone is joining the protest, because people want their freedom, and it's a legitimate right for them to ask for it. You know, Razan, everyone in the field, other first responders, were motivated by Razan. At one day, she broke her wrist, yet she completed her shift. So whenever anyone in the field felt tired or whatever, they would tell him, "Look, Razan broke her wrist, yet she completed her shift. Come on, you can do it too." And everyone was motivated by her, which is something absolutely inspiring, and this is why we need to make sure that Razan is not just another face that we lose. It's someone that fought for a lot of legitimate things and legitimate rights, and we need to support that and to make sure that the things that people are asking at the protest are being answered. They're asking for freedom, they're asking for ending the occupation and ending the blockade on Gaza. I mean, in such difficult times, there's nothing I want more than being with my family and to make sure that they are feeling better and for me to actually heal. But I can't go because of the blockade, which is make things really, really bad for me.
Yeah, and then quickly here, I'll talk about the international response. The United Nations Special Coordinator for Middle East Peace Process condemned the attack, the killing of Rouzan. This is the UN Middle East envoy. He tweeted, quote, "Medical workers are not a target. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Rouzan al-Najjar. Palestinians in Gaza have had enough suffering," end quote. Also at the UN Security Council, several nations tried to take action, but the United States vetoed a proposed resolution that condemned the Israeli military's, quote, "excessive, disproportionate, and indiscriminate force." So international institutions have been trying to take action here to advocate on behalf of Palestinian rights. And for 2 months now, the protests have gone on. Just in your final concluding thoughts here, Dalia, what do you think, you know, the response will be? We've already seen many countries have at least verbally supported Palestinian human rights given these protests. You know, do you think that that eventually, you know, the protests will succeed and Palestinians will be guaranteed these rights that they are supposed to be guaranteed under international law? What do you think? What are your hopes for the future?
Well, it's great that the international community is overwhelmingly supporting the Palestinians. However, the inability to overcome the American veto against any resolution that supports Palestinian is a critical thing that political leaders need to address. It's time to make sure that justice takes place and the rights of the Palestinians are protected. Leaders need to do more than maybe lips work and get to the ground and try to find ways to overcome the American veto and whatever America does to protect Israel or to apologize for what Israel is doing on the ground in Palestine.
Well, we'll have to end our conversation there. I was joined by Dalia al-Najjar. She is the cousin of Razan al-Najjar, who was a medic, a Palestinian medic in Gaza, a 21-year-old who was killed while wearing a white medic's uniform in the Gaza Strip, treating wounded people. She had her hands up and was shot by an Israeli sniper. Also, Ramzi al-Najjar, another cousin, was killed on June 4th. Thanks so much for joining us, Dalia, and we're all thinking of you and so many other families who have lost loved ones in Gaza.
Thank you.
Reporting for The Real News, I'm Ben Norton.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to True Legacies, where we explore the remarkable lives of inspiring figures throughout history. In today's video, we will be discussing the life and legacy of Rouzan al-Najjar, a Palestinian nurse and humanitarian who lost her life while serving her community. Let's dive in. Rouzan al-Najjar was born in Khan Yunis, a city in the southern Gaza Strip, in 1997. She grew up in a family that valued education and service to others, and she was inspired to become a nurse from a young age. She received her nursing degree from the University of Palestine and began working at the European Gaza Hospital in Khan Yunis. Rouzan al-Najjar was a dedicated and compassionate nurse who was committed to providing care for those in need, particularly in the context of the ongoing conflict in Gaza. She volunteered with the Palestinian Medical Relief Society and was known for her bravery in treating injured protesters during the Great March of Return demonstrations in 2018. Tragically, Rouzan al-Najjar was killed on June 1, 2018, while serving as a medic during the demonstrations. Her death sparked international outrage and renewed attention to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. She has been hailed as a hero and a symbol of Palestinian resistance, and her memory continues to inspire others to work towards justice and peace in the region. Rouzan al-Najjar was a dedicated nurse and humanitarian who gave her life in service to her community. Her bravery and compassion in the face of danger and adversity serve as an inspiration to all of us, and her memory reminds us of the urgent need for peace and justice in Gaza and beyond.